Tiferet chart.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's nothing that escapes Tiferet. Okay, it is.
Do you have a source, whether it be a practice or a book, that you could recommend to begin to establish a practice of contemplation? I know how to study, I know how to meditate, and contemplation is something that totally eludes me. I don't even know where to start. Can you help?
Who helped me get friendly to the world of contemplation, and who helped me expand my own personal vista of what contemplation can, where contemplation can go, right? And how to develop and evolve my own personal sense of contemplation, and to open up the worlds of contemplation was Abraham Joshua Heschel.
Any particular writing?
Man in Search of God in Search of Man. Heschel. His writings, not only the content of his writings, but the poetry and eloquence behind his writings, just took this contemplation, took the template, and the template started here, and after deeply getting into his words of wisdom, opened up the world of contemplation this way.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
So-
one more thing on Tiferet?
Just one last thing. So, as we say after every spherotic energy zone, ask yourself, outside of those three things, those three basic things that you long and yearn for in your life as you are right now, it's important homework to do. If you can, what you're going to come up with should be interesting to you. Should be interesting. So we end with, how active has your Tiferet energy been in your life for the past year? Has it been too much? Has it been in the minus column? Where and how would you like to improve and regenerate and bring back to life? If you're in the minus zone, bring back to life some Tiferet, some bolt in you that needs strengthening. There was someone first and second, then we get to Netzach.
Yes, you'll have a half hour.
You're talking
Okay.
about long and yearn, is this material or spiritual?
I'm sorry?
On the long and yearning, is it material or spiritual? When you say longing and yearning for something, is it material or a spiritual thing?
Everything material ultimately has its source in the spiritual.
Well, some people would
So
ask
the
you-
answer is both. But everything on the material level, if you take it back deep enough, is going to hit a spiritual chord.
Well, I mean, if a person asks for, a car, let's say, okay, that's a material thing, it's,
How about food, water, shelter?
yeah, that's also a material,
Basic needs.
yeah.
For our purposes, I would say, I would reiterate, everything material, every longing and yearning for something material has its source in the essence of your spiritual self. That's number one. For our purposes, I would say, if you're giving me an either or, I would say go straight to the what you identify as spiritual. I would not like for you to come back and say in contradistinction to the mystic of Tzfat, who says, "Nafshi choilas ahavasecha," my soul is lovesick for you. In contradistinction to that, I would not like any one of you to come back with one of the three on your wish list, on your yearning and longing list, triple fudge chocolate cake. I would not like to see that. Even though your longing and yearning for triple fudge chocolate cake does not really mean chocolate cake. It means there's something deeper inside of you that you're really longing for. It's just on the surface, it's
Looks like chocolate
it's
cake.
manifesting as chocolate cake. Okay. Quick.
You know, because of this very question, I turned to philosophy, and Plato became my mentor. It's not that he's perfect, but guess what? When you study Plato's philosophy, you can see where spirituality and matter itself, or science and spirituality can merge together. They don't have to be in separate camps anymore, because now you've got a transcendent view. And if you look at E equals MC squared, it's saying energy and mass are one. And we are energy and form here, and a longing to return to that oneness from which we came. That's Plato. Love is the longing to return to the oneness from which we came, because we are of that energy, but here, we're in form here. And guess what? That E equals MC squared is saying, and guess who else said that? Einstein.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, of course.
So here
Okay.
we take philosophy and science and we're merging it. They don't have to be in separate camps. And isn't it great to get an understanding of that when you can step outside the matter that we are and say, wait a minute, what is this? And that's what philosophy does. Yay.
Yeah, but
Right.
we're studying the Tiferet right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're focusing on this.
That's what he's all about.
It's the same, but this is the focus.
Okay, we have to say goodbye to Gvura. That's
We don't say goodbye, we just say so long for now.
Okay.
And there's a difference between desires and needs.
Yeah, well.
Needs need to be fulfilled for people that don't have food and water and shelter, right? Those needs need to be fulfilled, as opposed to desires. You go to any 7-Eleven and watch 1,000 desires walk through the door for sugar, for beer, for wine, for cigarettes, for this, for that, all of those desires. But when we talk about restraint, we're talking about restraining those needless
Rabbi, could you
desires to get to this point. That's it. To use the point, be content. Contentment is the
Okay. Netzach and Hod. Okay, say it a few times. Netzach and Hod.
Netzach and Hod.
Netzach, Hod. Netzach, Hod. Okay. By the end of this series, you all should be able to immediately, quickly have all of the 10 Sfirot, especially the bottom 7. You should have that on the tip of your tongue, ready to identify any situation, any mood, any place that I'm in the Tiferet zone. I'm in the Netzach zone. I'm being dominated by Hod. Okay, you should be able to be doing that. That's why I'm asking you to repeat it. These are new things to some people. Netzach and Hod, and Netzach and Hod are probably the most elusive of all of the Sfirot. There is less written about Netzach and Hod than all of the other Sfirot. Although, in this class, we're not going to see that. Okay? Starting with Netzach and Hod, as a general comment, we start getting into the lower we get on the spirit chart, the more human we become. The more human and the more manifested the above spherotic energies, the more manifest, the more human, the more dense they become. Okay? So Netzach and Hod are going to begin more of the psychological ways that these energy zones manifest themselves. So we're going to take them one at a time. Netzach is usually translated as, we'll start with this, but it's so elusive. Maybe by the end of Netzach, we'll see why this is true. Okay, you'll see why it's true. It's usually translated as victory. Victory. But we're going to add a few more things, and we're going to see why victory fits. So right next to victory, I think the operative word translation for Netzach is perseverance. So Netzach points to the spherotic energy of the power to achieve and the power to continue the divine expansiveness of chesed.
The divine what? I lost that word.
Expansiveness of chesed.
Oh, expansive, thank you.
Don't forget, if you want to take out your spherotic chart, what is the sphera right above Netzach?
That's it.
Huh?
That's it.
And what is the sphera right above Hod? Gevurah. So Netzach is intimately interconnected and a direct result or product of chesed, and Hod is the product and result of Gevurah. We understand that? What does perseverance mean on a cosmic, on a large level?
Continuation.
Perseverance means it points to the will, underline will, the will to live, and the will to express oneself in relation to one's environment. The will to live within your environment and the will to express yourself vis-a-vis that environment. That's why Netzach is also defined as not only victory and perseverance, but it is also sometimes referred to as domination. And don't misunderstand that word. That word might connote negativity. But Netzach is called perseverance and domination. Why domination? Because Netzach points to and emphasizes self-expression. Netzach is that will and the inner desire to make and a perseverance to pursue making a mark on your world. Making a mark on your world. Done.
I just want to make sure I wrote this right. You said Netzach is under Chesed.
Yes.
So, my mind.
I mean, interrupted a little bit, not interrupted,
Right,
but
with
by
Tiferet,
Tiferet.
right.
Okay, go ahead.
So, a strong will to live and to express yourself here means that you then have a more balanced Tiferet, or Tiferet that is strong, not balanced but strong in the positive sense. and a connection and a balance between Gevurah and Hesed with the strong desire to be in a balanced place of love.
Yes,
So the
yes,
first-
and once that balance and harmony takes place in the realm of Tiferet, then there begins the unbelievable will and desire to express that in my very unique way, in your very unique way. It has.
Let me just finish, I need to.
It has to be expressed. Netzach is the expression of Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet. It's the expression, it's the manifestation that
So for the first time, my thoughts are coming from the base up, because my mind, unfortunately, and I don't wanna get off on a tangent, but at the Holocaust, somebody that had a very strong Tiferet, because of their love and connection to God, would have created the acceptance of where they are and their strong desire to live. I mean, all the time I've been going down,
yes,
and I
yes,
understand, the down part,
yes,
but there comes a point, I guess, in one's life where you go from the bottom.
from the bottom up, yes.
So would that be a correct
Yeah,
summary?
yes, absolutely. Yes,
So with a weakness that you would give up and you become, the Tiferet becomes
yeah,
you become complacent and you lose your balance and connection up here, so you don't have that will and desire to live.
absolutely.
Okay.
But Donna, I do have to say, you don't have to,
Be in that situation.
you don't have to go to the
No, I know,
Holocaust.
but that's where my mind.
You don't have to go to the Holocaust for that.
It's easy to see in extremes.
Yes, yeah, life itself can, so Netzach is the power, is the energy center of making manifest the raw and latent chesed. And sometimes, yeah, that is sometimes lost. Yeah, Shabri?
So, Rabbi, I'm having a bit of problem with this when you said, making a mark on my world. Isn't that a little bit egotistical?
No.
I'm looking at as, why do I have to make a mark in this world? It's not something that.
Because
isn't-
you're here.
Right.
Yeah, but why do I have to make a mark on it? Why don't I just live it? You see what
Well,
I
that's
mean? The difference
egotistical.
between,
If you,
excuse me,
if you,
Donna.
And
Shabri, if you live it, you're gonna be making a mark on it.
well, then it's out there in the universe that I'm making a mark. I don't have to do that in my world to be satisfied, to come to the 3 questions of what I want in my life. I don't need that. I just be that. I wanna be that. You see the difference that I'm having a problem with the word making a mark on my world.
What happens if you change the word to difference instead of mark? Make it
They're
different.
all
It's all
these
the
are
same
all
thing.
words. They're all
Because-
words. I don't need the word. I just need to live my life like that.
I understand.
It's gonna happen,
I-
it's just gonna happen.
I get what you're saying, but
Happen.
it's very sublime. I really get what you're saying. In other words, making, when I say making a mark on the world could sound, and maybe this is the way that you're taking it, making a mark on the world sounds like may sound like an ulterior motive,
Yeah.
right? I want to make my mark on the world. I want to be president of the United States. All these words. I want to dominate.
I mean, I've contemplated
I want to
this
be.
and
I
I
want
wanna
to be
do it.
victorious, right? All these words can be turned around into making a mark on the world. Does not mean I have an agenda or I have an ulterior motive. It means that I am here for a purpose, which was Tiferet, that there is meaning and purpose, and now I must persevere. I cannot lay there like a blob and do nothing. I have to do something about this, the grandeur of the Tiferet within me. I have to make my mark. I am here for a purpose, and the world depends on me. If the world is going to be the same with or without me, then I become null and void. I become irrelevant. I have to be able to have made a mark, a difference, or else why? Or else why? So making a mark does not mean I have an agenda. It means I am here for a purpose, and without, we're going to get to it once we get to the end of Netzach and Hod. Without me, the world is not going to be the same.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Imagine a world. Imagine our world without Shabri.
Well, that might happen, within a couple of years.
Even if you're only living your life for your own purpose, your own experience, energy, whatever, the energy that you are creating, experiencing, whether you like it or not, affects others who are exposed to that energy, whether it's purposeful or not.
Mm-hmm.
Your personal, aura, experience, so on, example affects others who experience it. And even if you're only living it for yourself, and that's your goal, it still does affect others.
Makes me cry.
Thus, hopefully in a positive manner.
It's the ripple effect,
Yeah.
whether I know it or not. And I'll tell you the honest truth, that 90% of the time we do not know it. We do not know it.
Akiva?
Yes.
One of my teachers who grew up in Appalachia grew up with a father who was paralyzed when my teacher was at a very young age. And all that his father could do was to sit out on the porch when he was put there and smile. And he made a difference.
Yes.
Nice. So, to bring it into a little bit of a context, perseverance. So think of Moses, who is intimately identified with the spherotic energy of Netzach. So we could spend like a whole day on this one. But basically, from beginning to end, if you know a little of your Bible, from beginning to end, Moses's entire life is all about perseverance. Think of the
But it was a
biblical.
basket case.
Think of
That's cute.
Halavai, I should be such a bad. Moses' entire life, from beginning to end, has to do with perseverance. From the baby in the basket, he is thrown in as a little infant and is told by the grand destiny wheel, that little babula, thrown into the Nile, and it's as if the divine destiny wheel and the divine voice is saying, okay, Moses, this is the beginning of the rest of your life. Persevere. You're in the Nile, you're in the basket, your whole life is going to be surrounded by the power of Netzach as an infant, and you don't even know it. And he grows up in the palace of the Pharaoh. I don't have to tell you the story. And is made aware of his brothers and sisters who happen to be the slave nation of Egypt, and he is the prince of Egypt, and he lets go of that, and in defense of his brothers and sisters, he has to escape Egypt and eventually live with his father-in-law in Midian for X amount of years, persevering, being a refugee, not only a refugee, but an escapee, right? He has to persevere there. Then the burning bush incident, and has a calling, and has to persevere, and he says, me, who? Moi? Me? Little old me? I have to do that? Yes, you have, yeah. He has to persevere in being the messenger of God, and then he becomes leader of the slave and then free nation, and has to put up with a whole nation of slave mentality into freedom, and he has to persevere in leading that nation, and then persevere in defending that rebellious nation. His whole life is about Netzach. Netzach is the ability and talent to begin the process of implementation of chesed. To begin the process of implementing the energy zone of chesed into practicality. It's not yet practical. We don't get to practical until Malchut. But it is the power harnessed through chesed, beginning the process of implementing chesed. Netzach is the ability of channeling and organizing our thoughts into the practical realm. Anyone familiar with this?
I don't think so.
Read it.
You're standing in front of them.
Oh,
We're familiar with you.
oh, that's why you don't know what it is. I got it now.
Now I got it.
I got it.
Can you read it? Rabbi, can you read it in English?
Adonai oz la'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom.
We know the last one's
We know it's from the Torah says, to his people, to bless.
Adonai
Strength,
oz.
the strength, give strength.
Adonai oz la'amo yitain. God will give strength, will give strength to his people, Adonai Yivarech, God will bless his people with peace. Adonai oz Adonai oz. This is the ending of it's the ending of the Amidah. It's the ending of the prayer service. God will give strength to his people. God will bless people with shalom, with peace or harmony or completedness.
When?
Right now,
Always.
yes. No.
Adonai gives strength is Netzach. Adonai blessing us with peace is Hod.
Really?
Strength, perseverance comes before peace and harmony. Peace and harmony requires as a prerequisite strength.
Wait a minute, could you go over that?
Will to live, will to express. On a more practical level, Adonai oz la'amo yitain Netzach is, in today's world, is the IDF, is Israeli Defense Forces. Securing, persevering the security of self, of nationhood. We need strength and perseverance to continue being. And Adonai Yivarech, this is the IDF. But the IDF, perseverance, domination for the security of self, is not good enough. Because there has to be Hod connected to it. We didn't get to Hod yet, but perseverance is the first step towards shalom. And shalom needs perseverance to begin with. Shalom does not come out of the air. Peace and harmony does not come out of the air. It necessarily comes from the attribute to persevere the ability and potential of self-expression. So as much as the IDF is necessary for perseverance, it is not sufficient, because perseverance also needs modification. If the IDF would exercise its O's, its strength, uncontrollably, then it would become immoral strength. It would become an amoral defense force. So it needs a little bit of hode in order to create, right? Imagine an army that begins, and this is the case actually in the world in general. We have seen it, or we are seeing it, that an army begins with the idea of perseverance, but perseverance grows into a type of uncontrollable domination that starts becoming amoral. We have seen that, no?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
we're there.
That strength can, the will to implement and the will to express becomes so strong that it starts becoming distorted. So a little bit of hode, we didn't get to hode, but a little bit of hode is needed in order to channel and to restrict strength.
1206.
But strength, but perseverance is the prerequisite. So actually take those, last note, take those three things that you learn, that you yearn and long for, and apply Netzach to them. How? Once you have identified those three longing areas in your life, how are you persevering? How are you adding strength to those three longings of yours? How are you adding strength? Are you adding strength? Or are you just leaving them alone? How are you implementing on the level of Netzach those three yearnings? And we'll see you next week.
It says